be here for this Q&A for Arco. I would like to present first our director, Ugo Bienvenu. Producer, Sophie. And the actress and producer, Natalie Portman. Welcome.
Hello.
Thank you.
Hi, everyone.
So this is just such an incredible film, right? Such a beautiful kind of parable of what different futures could await us. That's how I see it anyway. That you present us with sort of this choice of two different futures. One, this sort of more idyllic future that Arco lives in the far, far away time where humans are living off the earth to protect the planet, to help it heal for more big benefit, really. And then this nearer future, the one that Iris lives in, where there are natural disasters, where humans are more connected to technology than to each other in many ways. And I feel like you give us this really sort of intriguing, potentially dark, but ultimately quite hopeful version of the future. Could you talk about that a little bit, about how you see the message of the film?
In fact, I wanted to look at children and their parents to families straight in the eyes, and say, let's be honest. This is tomorrow is going to be like this. This is the world we're going to live in, and let's face it. I don't want to lie to the kids. I don't want to because these are the fictional things I like. When they look at me in the eyes and say the truth, but if we give it a try, if we think better ways for the future, maybe we can create it. Because science fiction, I'm a science fiction writer myself since more than 10 years now, and it appeared to me when I began doing this movie that we were living in 2020. We were living in a really bad science fiction movie,
right. And
science fiction created in a way the world we live in right now. And I said to myself, okay, let's try to spread better things and to imagine better things for our future, because if we don't imagine the best, it can't happen, So this
right,
is
we need hope, right? But you're right, that was a time when we were incredibly isolated from one another.
When I began doing this movie, I really wanted to have kids, and my work was cynical because science fiction is a lot like this, and I said, okay, I don't want my kids to watch to see my work and say, oh, Papa is so cynical, Papa is so
And now you have kids, I understand.
Yeah, I had to during the making.
Right, okay.
Thank you.
And Sophie, did you come on first and then Natalie? Like, how did that, or vice versa?
We're a duo.
You come together, okay.
Yeah, we work together. So Jamil Shamazdin, who's here, who's the executive producer with us, told us about the project, and we loved the concept. We were very intrigued. We started our company 5 years ago, and we were like, I think, looking for those projects and filmmakers to work with that have a vision, that are so talented and can put something in the world that feels very inspiring. And so we heard about the concept. We had never done animation, so it was a bit like, what are we gonna do? But also like, let's give it a try. And we met with Felix and Ugo. We saw an animatic of 40 minutes, which is a sort of, how would you describe, like a sketch, like a proof of concept, and we cried. It was just like hand drawing, no colors, no voices. It was just like the promise of the film, and we cried, and we were so moved. We're like, okay, we have to be a part of it, and jumped into the project. It was like 3 years ago.
And Natalie, did you know that you wanted to both act in it and produce it at that point? What was your?
Well, we said when we started producing that if we were lucky enough to have the movie be in English for Anglophone audiences, I would to do one of the voices. But yeah, of course, it was very unknown to us at the beginning, you know, an independent animation from a first-time filmmaker. It's very uncharted territory for us, so yeah, it was, but Sophie and I looked at each other and were like, this is such an incredible opportunity because Ugo is such a massive talent. It's hard to say right in front of him, but it's just, it was so clear right away that we were dealing with like the major artist and a major voice, and also like heart and soul that was exactly what we want to put in the world. Like we looked at each other and we're like, we just want this to exist. And I don't think we've ever had that conversation in that way where we're like, we have no idea about like commercial prospects or audiences or whatever, but this just like, this has to exist. We need this to exist, and if we can be a small part of it, it's so meaningful.
We didn't mention it, but this is Ugo's first feature. Have an extensive background in science fiction, illustration, write comic books, and so on and so forth. But this is your first feature, which is just amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah. And Natalie, I understand that your mom, your kids have seen it, and since this is a film that I see as not just being for adults, also being for kids, but it can impact us differently depending on when we see it and how we see it. I'm curious what reaction your kids had.
My kids loved it, and I'm so happy to see so many kids here today. Hey kids, can everyone scream a little bit? Because you've been very patient. Do you want to scream Arco? You want to get up and jump a little bit, move around, because you're being so patient. Everyone who's under 18, or stand up and wiggle a little and scream Arco, okay? 1, 2, 3. Arco! Thank you for being such an amazing audience for us. We're so lucky to have children's eyes on it. They bring so much conversation and engagement with, I think that was the most exciting thing for me with my kids, all the conversations that it brought up, like, what does it mean that the parents are away and showing up as holograms? What can a robot nanny be emotive and affectionate? Are we gonna have to live on platforms in the future to heal our earth? You know, all of these kinds of questions that I think the movie sparks really incredible conversation.
It's incredibly poignant as a parent too to think about that, think about the fact that these parents are appearing only as holograms to their children because they're just too busy working, and that the kids are more attached to Mickey, the nanny bot, in many ways, which is not that far off from where we are now. When I saw the robots picking up the debris after the storm and doing construction work, I thought, well, that's AI, that's like tomorrow, right? That's basically where we are. So I think you have this really incredible vision for where we are now and where we may be going unless we make certain choices. One of the things the film also addresses is kind of natural disaster, really sort of man-made or human-engineered disasters, including the fires. And that's something that I think might really actually resonate with audiences here in a particular way. Tell me about what that was like for you, because you said when you first proposed that, you were told there's no way that could happen.
Yeah, the first persons I talked about the movie, you know, they said, oh, fires don't come like this, it's impossible, like it's a Deus Ex Machina. And I was like, we're already having a lot of fires, and we're gonna have more in the next years, you know. But so we stick, and thanks to Natalie and Sophie that protected the movie, like we managed to do the movie exactly as we wanted. And while we were finishing the frames of the movie, like 4 years after beginning writing it, you know, writing this scene, we were finishing the frames, and we saw the fires in LA, and everybody in the studio that were working on it, you know, we had the images of like news and our movie, and it was so heartbreaking to see that it got fastest, that it arrived fastest than we thought it would, you know, also. So yeah, it's
a real
going fast.
kind of warning in there in your film, I think. And tell me a little bit about, if you could, the storyboard process? Because I understand it's quite a rapid animate, like the fact that you animated it all within 1 year. Maybe Sophie can also discuss that as well, like what that was like for you.
In fact, I storyboarded during 3 years, storyboarded and writing. With Felix, we really thought that it was important because of animation has to be written also with images, because at the end it will be images. So I was storyboarding, and unconscious was going in. Drawing is a really good way to go into your unconscious and find deep things, you know. And so I was storyboarding, and then we were writing, storyboarding, writing. And so it took us 3 years. People didn't get the script in France and didn't get they said it's impossible, you'll never be able to do that movie. And,
Why did they?
because the system, the French system also, like they need, they need a lot of things. I won't go deep in that, but and also maybe these weren't the good persons to talk to. So we decided to protect the movie, to get it out of the market, and do an animatic, so we could show people, and so they could get what we wanted to do. So we began, like we put our money in that, the studio money and our money too, and we did, like, we began working on the animatic, and after a really precise animatic, for example, there's 24 frames by seconds, and we were animating at between 8 and 12, so it was kind of precise, and you could have the real feeling of the movie, even if it was in black and white. And after like 45 minutes, Felix told me, I think we should call Jamil and show him. Jamil wasn't that you weren't like really knowing that we were doing this. I don't know. But yeah, so he came, and we talked about Sophie and Natalie, and the next day, like, they came to the studio, and everybody was saying, Natalie's coming, and then we finished. They helped us, like, financing the rest of the animatic, which was a huge, like, also risk, and then after finishing the animatic, like 5 months later, that was crazy also, because it allowed us to go straight to production, and we did it in 1 year and 2 months. Normally, in the schedule it was 1 year and 8 months, but as Cannes was coming, and we were seeing that it was possible, we said, okay, let's rush it and finish it for Cannes. And so yeah, it was crazy. Also, I think we're the first animation movie finishing 6 months earlier. And so yeah, so it was, and also not how do you say, ruining the image, like keeping the quality of it. Like, no, it was a great adventure, against the wind sometimes, but great adventure.
And apparently also unusual to do the whole thing in Paris.
Yeah, I really needed that, because I like the craft. I don't like when animation is industrial, because we pass more time sending mails than like actually drawing, and I'm a drawer, and I want also to be able to help my team, so I really want to be near them. And all the day I go through the rooms. Every day I take the place of an animator, and I redo when he's going in the wrong way, and I adjust. And to go before, like the animatic was so clear that it helped us, like, keeping the it was such a thin line we were working on, that the animatic really helped us not going too much on the right or too much on the left, and stay on that really thin line of.
So having a really clear animatic sort of schematic gave you a sense of what direction.
Yeah, and also animatic, we were 4 working on it.
Right.
Like we had to do 5 shots a day each, and so it wasn't that expensive. It was expensive as a proof of concept, but it wasn't that expensive, and it helped us, like, put the money exactly where we needed it.
And then, so when Natalie came on board, not just as producer but also to act in it, did that sort of open the floodgates for this great American voice cast that you got, like, because you have Mark Ruffalo, you have Will Ferrell, you have Andy Samberg, you have Flea, which is quite an interesting trio. I want to ask about that, but how did that, like, Natalie, was it sort of your capital that allowed for other?
Well, I think it's really the film. We had the finished film that Ugo made in French that was like our calling card that we sent to. We had to do the English version quite quickly
Mhm.
because we were extremely lucky that Neon came on after Cannes and said that they were gonna bring it to Toronto after, so we had just a few months to do the English version, so we didn't really have time to go through a traditional, casting thing, and so we were like, who do we know who we love? And we sent it. Will Ferrell, we worked with as producers on May, December. Mark Ruffalo, we were shooting with currently on the Lena Dunham film that we did last summer. America Ferrera is a dear friend of mine. Flea is a dear friend of Jamil's. So we just sent to our friends, but we sent them the film, and they all
hoping one of them would say yes. and
yeah,
they
we were
all
like,
did.
if we get one, and literally each one after they saw the film, like 5 minutes after they watched the film, they were like, yep.
I want to be a part of it.
It was,
wanna
I think
support.
it's the quality of the material, and everyone just fell in love with it, as we did.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and that on the kids it was crazy because in France it took us 5 months to find 2 kids, and in America I was like, oh, how are we gonna find 2 kids in 2 weeks? And I mean we see so much crazy people, like crazy actors, and Romy and Giuliano were like it was like this, and we were lucky in America because a lot of good kids were in the industry.
Yeah, they make the movie. They're the heart of the movie.
They are amazing. Tell me about how the casting of when you have Flea, Andy Samberg, and Will Ferrell, that sort of added a different dynamic that I understand than the French version.
Yeah.
Can you share a little about that?
In fact, we didn't want to copy paste the 2 versions because sometimes when you try to copy paste, you lose the heart of the movie, the soul of the movie, and what we really wanted to keep is the essence of it, what it meant, and so sometimes we had to go through different tones or different way of saying the same thing to have the same emotion, and this is great because it learns a lot about, also in books, if you read a book translated bad, it's a bad book, and if you really read so for example, me, Murakami, he's a guy, a writer that I love, but when it's not the traduction guy, translation guy that I love, it like I don't like the book. So in fact, we kind of did the same that in books, and for example, yeah, Will Ferrell didn't have the same energy, or was bringing almost the opposite of Vincent Macaigne, which is a French actor. But we liked it, like it was surprising for us, and it was cool to play also with the material that we had. And Andy Samberg was bringing more, so they changed the dynamic, but at the end of it, we have the
same energy.
Yeah, the same energy and the same feeling. So that was so great, also discovering like new, like almost it's not a new movie, but it's the same movie, the same essence of it, but differently. And I think, yeah, and also making movies is also having fun doing it, not always pain. It doesn't have to be necessarily painful all the time. So yeah, I was happy also like being free and like on this.
You've mentioned in interviews some of your influences going into this, including Miyazaki, Pinocchio, some of the other Disney films. Of course, there's a little bit of E.T. here, The Little Prince, there's so many different things, and there's this unmistakable, very individual, unique voice to you as well. I wanted just to ask about how you came to the scene in the caves where Mickey is doing the drawing and he's recording the memories, because to me that is the emotional climax of the film, and it's just like I could just feel chills as I was watching it, because Mickey is recording the memories so they won't be forgotten, and you can see that even though he's a robot, he has this intense attachment to these children and wants that to be noted.
There are several answers to this one question.
Whatever direction you want.
The first one, it was pure unconscious. In fact, when I write, I like to use my unconscious and not to control things. And it appeared like that. And after I realized I was doing a movie about lights, and I had to put them in the dark at one time. Also, I mean, the cave is also the place of eternity, and it's a movie about time, And the cave is the only place in which you can save things through times, in a lot of times. We had drawings from the very first people on Earth, and so it's a good hard drive also for information. And also I like that today we go in caves because we are a bit curious about our past, but I feel also we are losing our connection right now. Today we are losing a bit our connection for history, for learning, and that's why I wanted to put the cave like abandoned cave. So yeah, just this element was saying so much, and I wanted Mickey to be like, he's leaving a trace, and this is typically human to leave a trace in the world, but and leaving a trace is saying this is important, and yeah, I found it super beautiful to say Iris is important for me, and yeah, I'm crying again.
Really nice. Well, you have absolutely left a trace here with the rest of us who've seen this film. It's just such a beautiful, beautiful piece of work. And that is our time. So